We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there.
Welcome back to the Swearwolves. I'm Bret.
I'm David.
David.
Yes, Bret.
How are you, pal?
I'm good, man. You really put the emphasis on the second syllable in my name. David.
David. How are you? You doing well? You had a good Thanksgiving? You had a good Turkey Day? I mean,
I did.
When this is released, it's going to be in December. It's going to be closer to fucking Christmas,
Yeah,
probably.
but for us, Thanksgiving was just a few days ago.
Yeah, just a few days ago. So you had a good one? You got
It
lots
was really
of
nice.
leftovers?
A little bit. When I say we, I mean I ate
Yeah.
most of the leftovers like within a day. Just anytime I walk past the kitchen, I just go in and start
Do you
start noshing.
Are you guys do a like a lunch Thanksgiving like my family does? As
Yeah,
well.
yeah, we're lunch people.
Are you a that night leftover type of person? Also, it's like 7 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm gonna make myself a turkey sandwich.
Yep, exactly. All the restaurants are closed. I guess I'll just raid the refrigerator.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm glad you guys had a good Thanksgiving. We had a good one as well. Very low key. I think I mentioned that we don't have any relatives up here, so it's just
Yeah, just did
me,
your own thing.
my wife and my daughter, and we ate, watched football, took a nap. It was a great day.
It sounds wonderful.
It was like one of the best days in recent history, especially because I've been really busy at work.
Yeah, same.
And so, like, I was working till 10, 11 o'clock at night. This is the drawback from working from home. It's like you're always at your office.
Right.
So they don't care. They're like, oh, you can work from home. And it's like, oh, yeah, I guess I can.
Yeah, I had some pretty long days as well.
Yeah. So anyway, it was nice to have a couple days off. Got to watch a couple of movies. Got to watch the ending of an era, David. An era has ended. You and I were messaging each other as we were watching the series finale of The Walking Dead.
It's crazy.
Actually, caveat to that. It's not that. It's not the fucking finale because there's
it's not
five
done.
goddamn spin-off shows that's happening.
Yeah, it'll never go away. Like my wife, when it was over, she was like, "Oh, thank God," because she doesn't like it, and she just puts up with it with me watching it every Sunday. And she's like, "Oh, so are you going to start watching the spin-off shows?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably."
Of course. But The
What else am I
Walking
going to
Dead.
do on Sunday night?
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing else. There's
Nothing
nothing
else I can
else
possibly do.
do. The Walking Dead proper has ended, and they are going to make spin-off shows. One with Daryl, one with Rick, and spoiler alert, Rick and Michonne. Of course, I think everybody already knew that he was still alive, right? We already knew that.
Oh, yeah. And then the Negan and Maggie one.
Negan and Maggie have their own spin-off show. And is Carol getting her own show?
No, because she was going to be in the Daryl one, but then I guess she pulled out, or she's not interested in doing it anymore.
Okay. Which leads me to this. If I was fortunate enough to be in a show like The Walking Dead, I would be like, I am going to be this character forever. Because you're going to pay me. I'm going to collect
Especially if
this
I was
money.
an actor that wasn't doing a whole lot of other stuff. Be like, yep.
Yeah. Why Rick left the show? Oh, yeah, I'm a proper actor, I am. I'm going to do me some shows. I'm tired of playing Rick. And then he goes, and I
wasn't his
haven't done
thing-
shit.
I think his thing was more about family because he lives in England, and I think that constantly traveling to the
piss
States to
off.
film. Fuck off.
Piss off, you blimey cunt. You're a right cunt, you is.
I say.
Isn't it? Okay, well, then, maybe I forgive him for that. But I would be like fucking Daryl. That guy,
Yeah.
Norman Reedus, he's like, fuck, I'm Daryl. I'll be Daryl forever.
Yeah, pay
What do
me.
you guys want to do? I was fortunate enough not to get killed off in this show.
Yeah, keep paying me, please.
Yep. Fucking poor Glenn. Well, I guess not poor Glenn. He was nominated for an Oscar. I guess
He's
all right.
done.
He's
He's done some other stuff. He seems to have landed just fine.
Yeah. But I'm glad there's a couple characters who are not getting spinoffs, and one of those is Eugene. I fucking hate that character. I hate him with such a fucking passion. Anytime he spoke in that show, I was like, oh, for Christ's
Just
sake.
like, is it just the way he talks? Like, I calculate, blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Yeah, when he's like, hey, I gotta go take a piss. He's like, I do believe that I have to unzip my drawers and whip my trouser snake out to alleviate all this pressure that is pressing in on my bladder at this time of my life. It's like, oh, you gotta go take a leak? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
I fucking hate him. I would have killed him a long time ago.
Void my bowels.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right,
you gotta
we
take
get
a
it.
shit.
Yeah. Fucking asshole. So, anyway, we were texting during it, and David, you were quite emotional.
Dude, I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast. Like, I think I've told you before, but for whatever reason, like from childhood until I was like early 20s, nothing ever fazed me emotionally. Like, I could watch the saddest shit ever and just be like, all right, well,
Yeah.
go about my life. But like something happened, like, and then all of a sudden, like overnight, I've turned into the biggest softie. So like I cry in commercials, like movies, TV shows, like all the time. And I think I was counting, and if I remember correctly, I think I cried 10 times during the finale. And you were made of steel and cried 0 times.
You know, which is odd too, because I am very emotional.
Yeah. Were you just like, kill Eugene?
No, here's the
this.
thing about it. I was very like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over.
Yeah, yeah.
Number one. Number two, anybody that died, I really didn't give two shits about.
Yeah, if I was to be critical of anything other than one particular main character death, and I thought, it sounds awful saying I wish they had killed off more prominent characters, but I thought they played it kind of safe on that front. Yeah.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And I get why they didn't do that. Probably because they're like, if
Money.
we ever want to come back to this fucking well, we got to have some characters that people already like and already know.
Exactly. Or if like in any of the spinoffs, like maybe we bring back this person who's, you know, not officially part of the show, but maybe they have a cameo or they
I'm
just
sure
bring them on.
Carol will come back eventually.
She'll show up at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. She's going to be like, I need to buy a new house. How many? Can I just do a fucking six episode run? Now, these spinoffs are only like 8 episodes, right? They're not like full
I don't know. I don't really know anything
series,
about the
right?
spinoffs that they're doing.
My understanding is that it's like an 8 episode story arc.
That's kind of cool.
Done.
That's
My understanding.
Wrap
I
it
could
up.
be way wrong. It could be extremely successful, and they could all just be like, let's keep going. Mm-hmm. They could kill them all off for all we know.
They should do a spinoff of just like pick a particular zombie and let's just follow that fucker around.
It's just 8 episodes
like every
of
episode.
that.
Yeah. This episode, he just walks. He doesn't actually kill anyone.
Well, he is the Walking Dead, right?
Yeah, he just walks for, you know, several miles, and then the show just sort of
By the way,
ends.
that was also cheesy. In the last episode, didn't someone say like, "Oh, we are the Walking Dead"? Daryl said that.
Yeah,
or
they've
something.
done that a couple of times in the show,
like,
and then look at the camera.
Anyway, that was that. That's horror related. I have started watching Interview with a Vampire on AMC.
Are you enjoying it?
I am immensely. Like, I didn't think I would.
Yeah.
And
You're all
the
into
show is really fucking good. So I would recommend that. And it's I'm actually way behind. I think it's been on for a few weeks at this point, probably months at this point. But I kind of like being behind because I can watch it on my time.
Yeah, is it slowly catching up?
Yeah. It's not one of those that I feel like I have to binge either. Like, we watched an episode and we're like, that's fucking good. All right, well, let's go about our lives and do stuff, and then we'll come back to it. So,
Yeah, it's not consuming you. That's good.
no. But the acting is really good. And the characters are... I don't dislike Interview with a Vampire, the movie. But I think these characters, the people they have playing... Louis and Lestat are just that much better.
Oh,
and
nice.
the way they did the way they're doing the show, and I'll tell you about this off camera. It happens in the first episode, so you know what? Fuck it. I'll tell you right now. The way they're doing it is, it's almost like it's a sequel to the novel,
Okay.
but it's not. Because what happens is so in the movie, the Christian Slater character, right? The guy who's
Right. Yeah.
interviewing.
Doing the interview.
I've never read the book, but it's more of a sequel to the novel. But let's just pretend it's Christian Slater. It's years after, and he has already released the book where it's his interview and all that kind of stuff. And he did live after he got attacked.
Yeah.
In the book, he gets attacked by Louis. I guess Louis goes batshit crazy, and no.
That's
pun
right. In the movie,
intended.
it's Lestat, right?
In the movie,
In the
it's
back of the
Lestat.
car.
Yeah. But he does survive, and he doesn't turn into a vampire or anything. He survives. But Louis gets in contact with him again. And Louis is like, I need you to interview me again, because basically what comes out is like when he first interviewed him, he was just a punk ass kid,
Oh, okay. Now some time has passed. Yeah.
Now he's older. He's got terminal cancer. And Louis like, you are on the verge of death, but you need to tell the story the real way instead of how you told it. And we both were too young, quote unquote, at the time.
Yeah.
And now we've grown, a lot has changed in the world, and you're ready to hear what actually happened. So it's like re-interview with a vampire.
That sounds interesting.
But it was cool kind of how they did that then, right? So they're able to tell the story again. And it's not like a reboot.
But from a slightly different angle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess Anne Rice, before she passed away, was all about it.
Oh, awesome.
Like,
That's
and
good.
I think
Have the
her kids,
seal of approval.
Yeah, and her kids are, they gave the stamp as well.
That's really cool.
Enough about that shit, though, David. It's Christmas
Got
time.
bigger fish to fry. It is. Christmas time is here.
Christmas time is here, a time for joy, a time for cheer, time for laughter, time for fear.
Ooh.
I don't know what all that was, but anyway, one of our listeners had suggested a couple of movies for us. We had asked for movies to watch, and one of our listeners had suggested the following movie, which is not a Christmas movie at all.
It is not in the least.
But the title kind of is like a little Christmassy, right? The movie is Antlers. Now, over the years, I had seen this. Well, I guess not over the years. Over the year, I had seen this movie come up on the streaming services.
Yeah,
and I've always.
Well,
like,
I remember seeing the previews for it like a year or two ago, or whenever it came out, and I was like, "That looks really interesting." And it was one that I'd been wanting to see.
Yeah.
So when he suggested it, I was like, "Yeah, we'll do that one."
Yeah. So Antlers came out in 2021. The specific release date was October 29th, 2021. David, that was only a year ago. 13 months ago.
I know. Where does the time
What
go?
What was the number one movie at the box office a year and a month ago?
It was not Antlers.
Not
I'm
at all.
positive of that. Oh, also, shout out to Eric is the name of our listener who suggested this movie. So I'm going to go with the movie Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. Did you see that?
Oh, I did see that movie. That movie was fucking awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Not the number one movie, though?
Not at all. I did tell you, though, that I saw Bob Odenkirk on a flight to Burbank.
That's awesome.
I think I mentioned that on this. I did not say. I sat in the same row as him, just across the aisle.
And you were shooting eye lasers at him, like, look at me, look at me, look at me.
Yeah, he had his headphones on and his head down.
Come on my podcast.
But we were in the exit row, so we had to get talked to by the flight attendant. So he pulled his headphones off and he's all, okay, yeah.
Like, will you help? And he's like, absolutely not. Move me.
He's like, this fucker across the aisle keeps staring at me.
Keeps fucking looking at me.
Funny,
moving to first class, you bastards.
Funny thing about that is he and I made eye contact, and I think he realized that I knew who he was, but I didn't say anything. So I think he was like, okay, this guy's cool. He's not going to fucking accost me or anything. I was wearing a Los Pollos Hermanos shirt under my hoodie.
I remember you telling me that.
And I didn't realize that until way after the fact. And I was like,
damn it. You should have made eye contact and then slowly unzipped it seductively. And then,
Nobody was not the number one film.
So what was this number one movie?
The number one movie was Dune.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that movie was really good. I liked that.
Never seen it. Never seen that.
Yeah,
Never seen the original Dune. Don't know.
I've never
anything
seen the
about
original
fucking
either,
Dune.
but I did see the new one, and I liked it a lot.
Well, you were the reason why it was the number one film.
Oh, I didn't see it in theaters.
What was the number one song? Well, yeah, I mean, didn't it come out to streaming like the same weekend it went to theaters? I don't know how it was the number one.
I can't remember, but I streamed it. Like, it had been out for quite a while by the time I saw it.
Yeah.
It was good.
What was the number one song?
I'm going to go Industry Baby by Lil Nas X and Jack Harlow. Now,
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah?
Yes.
Check me
I
out.
don't know. I was gonna say, like, David, you're never gonna get this in a million years, and you fucking got it.
That's awesome.
You looked it
That's
up.
one of those songs that, like,
You son
when
of
my
a-
wife and I take our dog to the dog park, not anymore, but around the time that the song came out, there was a 100% chance that we were going to hear that song at some point on the 5-minute drive, either to or from the park. That song
Never
was
heard it until
everywhere.
today. I
Really?
heard it for the first time today. Yep.
Oh, wow.
I don't listen to modern like music stations or anything like that on the radio. I listen to like oldies.
Yeah.
I
We
guess
do,
what's
like, when we
considered
drive,
oldies,
we're always in
80s.
my wife's car. My wife is a channel surfer, so she's constantly changing the channel. So when it lands on, like, hip hop or pop music, like, there's a lot of that.
That's
a
where
lot of
you're
Lil
staying.
Nas X.
Yeah.
We listen to a lot of classic rock too, though, but our classic rock station plays a lot of the same bands. And I always kind of joke, I'm like, hey, you want to hear AC/DC or Led Zeppelin? And almost every time one of those two bands will be being played. In fact, I made the joke
100.7
today,
KSLX.
and it was that channel. And today it was Dirty Deeds, Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC.
There you go. Antlers was written by C. Henry Chasen, Nick Antosca, and Scott Cooper, and directed by Scott Cooper. Scott Cooper's directed a few films, actually. Works a lot with, what's his name? Christian Bale.
Oh, really? Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
he's done a few films with him, and he's got an upcoming movie with Christian Bale. Christian Bale, I'll be in your film, Scott Cooper.
I'll be in your film, in it.
With music by Javier Navarrete, who is a frequent collaborator with Guillermo del Toro. In fact, I think Javier Navarrete was nominated for an Oscar for Pan's Labyrinth. He might have won, but I
That's
believe he
cool.
was nominated.
Because,
Yes,
Del
it does make
Toro
sense.
produced this movie.
Yep, this movie was produced by Guillermo del Toro. Scott. His name was David. I don't know where I got Scott from. David S. Goyer and J. Miles Dale. The movie stars Kerry Russell as Julia Meadows, Jesse Plemons. Speaking of Breaking Bad,
That whole
Better
universe,
Call
yeah.
Saul. Yeah, Jesse Plemons as Paul Meadows, Julia's sister or brother. Excuse me.
Dude, you know what's a fun movie with Jesse Plemons? Did you ever see the movie Game Night?
I was gonna say I have that in my Just the Facts, man.
Oh,
so if
all
you
right,
want to
we'll
just
save it.
put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Jeremy T. Thomas as Lucas Weaver, Graham Greene as Warren Stokes, Scott Hayes as Frank Weaver, Rory Cochran as Daniel LaCroix, and Amy Madigan as Principal Ellen Booth. Kerry Russell, Felicity.
herself.
That's what everybody knows her for. I, myself, was a big Mickey Mouse Club fan in the early 90s. And Kerry Russell was on the Mickey Mouse Club back in the day with, like, she was older than them, but like Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears and Christina
I
Aguilera.
never saw it.
I was a big Kerry
I never
Russell
seen a
fan
single
back then.
episode of Felicity either. I just remember when the
No,
show came
neither
out.
did
I just remember seeing her face everywhere. Wasn't she also in
Yeah.
one of the Mission Impossible movies?
Probably. I don't know.
I don't know. Or maybe I'm mixing her up with somebody else.
I saw the first Mission Impossible movie in the theater, and I remember I really liked it. And then I saw the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't remember which one that is.
I think that's the
then I
third
haven't-
one.
I haven't
think.
seen
I
any
don't
of the
know.
other ones.
There's a bunch of them.
But Kerry Russell, Jesse Plemons, as you mentioned, married to
Kirsten
what's her name?
Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst, who was in Interview with the Vampire. David, it all comes full circle, all right?
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Rory Cochran, one of my all-time favorite characters from one of my all-time favorite movies. Rory Cochran played the character of Slater in Dazed and Confused.
You cool, man? Like how? Okay.
And then Amy Madigan, of course, was Kevin Costner's wife in Field of Dreams. Runtime of this movie, 99 minutes. Budget of $16.7 million with a box office of
20?
$35.7 million.
Nice.
It made some money.
Just facts. Just facts. Just facts, man.
Just the facts, man. That's
Lay
what
it on
want.
me.
You want just the facts. Antlers.
No fiction.
Antlers filmed for 41 days in total. Created more than 1,145 cast, crew, and extra jobs, and spent more than $11.4 million in British Columbia.
Ah.
Yeah.
Got to support the Canadian economy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That was some article I found online. That wasn't even from fucking IMDb. I went out and researched.
Oh shit!
this.
Look at you. Fucking going out in
Now
the field.
back to IMDb. This film is based on the story The Quiet Boy, which was written by Nick Antosca, one of the writers of this film, probably only because he wrote the short story. This movie was filmed at the same location and town as Rambo: First Blood.
Oh shit! That's cool.
Yep. And then Jesse Plemons plays a sheriff in this. This is the third time he's played a sheriff. He previously played a sheriff in American Made, and then in the movie Game Night.
The movie's hilarious.
Which is a very funny movie, very creative.
Yeah, the movie cracks me up. That was one of those movies too. Like when it came out, I was like, "Oh, it's kind of dumb." And then I caught it on like HBO or something one night, and I was like, there's nothing else. I'll watch this." And I laughed my ass off. That movie's funny.
Yeah, very similar to that. I remember seeing previews all the time for the movie Horrible Bosses.
Yeah. That
And I
movie's
was
also
like,
really funny.
Yeah, I was like, that movie looks stupid. And then I saw it, and I fucking love that movie. I even like the sequel. All right. So let's get down to, that's all I got for facts, by the way.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this movie opens up, and we get kind of like a I don't know, is it a voiceover? Is there a voiceover?
I don't think so.
There's just words on the screen. I don't know if they're
Yeah, I
speaking.
think there is. I didn't write it down.
I don't know if
but yeah, there is.
And it's stuff like there's a spirit in the thing, and it's very like
there's a spirit in the thing. Yeah, something about like
get it. Come on.
Mother, and it's like kind of like the old Mother Earth, like restoring balance or getting back at us for being a bunch of shitheads.
Yeah, it's like, listen, you didn't listen to Captain Planet, you're fucked.
The Planeteers tried to warn you,
Yep.
and you just kept polluting and being awful humans.
The movie
now a monster's gonna kill you.
The movie is set in Oregon.
Yeah, it's very Pacific Northwest looking.
And there's a lot of references to the indigenous cultures that still live there. It was filmed in British Columbia. There's, obviously indigenous people up there. And so it has that kind of setting. And that's kind of what it opens up with, is like the stories from those cultures about, like what David said, you destroy the earth is going to destroy you. Whether that takes the form of a spirit or a Wendigo.
Yeah, it's basically the old, fuck around and find out thing, but in said more eloquently.
Yeah. Yeah. We've tweaked it over the years.
We've really just brought it down.
As Americans, we've really just, and specifically European Americans, we've really just taken something from the indigenous people and gone, we'll just make it worse.
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway, so it opens up with these guys, and actually it opens up with this kid, and he hears a noise, and he runs back, and he gets into this pickup truck, and he's like hiding in it. And then his dad comes out of this mine shaft, and the dad's like, "Look,
he's got some like supplies with him and stuff. Like he's up to some shady business, it would seem."
yeah, we don't know exactly what it is, but the kid's like, why can't I go in there? And he's like, well, because I'm working in there, but we're going to be done here soon, and then we'll go pick up your brother, okay? And he's like, yep, cool. And his dad looks like a fucking tweaker.
Yeah, and I think the dad even hands him like a little baggie. He's like, put this in the glove box. It's like, oh, what's
Yeah,
what's
I didn't
that?
know what it was at first, and then when, I mean,
This
it
next part?
ultimately, yeah, when the next part happens, I was like, oh, yeah,
That makes
I get
sense.
that. So the dad goes down into the mine shaft. We follow him as he leaves the kid out on the cab of the truck, and he goes down to the mine shaft, and there's a meth lab down there. Kind of the perfect spot for a meth lab, though, right? Because there's already air filtration, like to get
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
bad-
and it's abandoned and closed, so no one's gonna really go in there.
yeah. So they're doing another Breaking Bad reference, right? So they're making meth
man.
down there, and they should have got the fucking sheriff. He knows how to fucking do it, right? Jesse Plemons, he was an asshole
right.
in that show.
Oh, he
Breaking
was
Bad.
awful. Yeah,
Oh, the worst. Every time I see him, I still see that fucking character, and I'm like, you are the worst.
I did until I saw Game Night, and then I was like, all right, now I just associate this guy with being funny.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah. But they're down there and they hear some noises too, and they're like, "What the hell is that? Like, is that an animal?"
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This guy goes down in his mine. Right? I can't think. This guy goes down into the
Granted.
mine, and he doesn't use a flashlight. He uses a fucking flare.
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, that seems wasteful.
Very wasteful, and it's like, I've never set off a
And
flare.
fairly
though.
limited visibility with a flare too. Like
Yeah,
flashlight.
yeah, that's true.
You know, you can.
Have you ever set off a flare like you see in the movies where they take off? the
No,
top
I've always
and
wanted to. Yeah.
and they're like showing it around. I was watching this movie with my wife, and every time he set off a flare, I kept going woo, because I said that Ric Flair should come out with his own line of flares, and they should be called the
Flares.
Ric Flares, and then every time you crack them
It
open,
makes that
they go,
sound.
woo. Yeah. So not
That'd be
only can we
amazing.
find you, not only can people find you on site, but they can also
They can hear you.
auditory. Yeah.
You're like, oh, I hear Ric Flair.
So Ric
Somebody invites
Flair,
me in
if you want to
trouble.
go into business with me, we can sell Ric Flair flares,
Ric
and then we can even
Flairs.
sell buttons and stuff that people can put on their shit, and that's Ric Flair flare,
Oh my goodness.
right? I
like
got a whole
it.
line of stuff.
That's $1 million idea.
multi-millions.
Yes.
Don't shortchange me, David. That's a multi-million-dollar idea. But yeah, I did tell my wife. I said I've never set off a flare before, and I really want to.
Oh, I want to, but not like I don't want to have to. You know what I mean? Like I want to.
I don't wanna do it because of
recreationally
emergency.
just do it, not because
It's like
I
I
got in
wanna
a car
shoot
wreck
a
and I
fl-
need to. Yeah, shoot a flare gun, but not because I need help.
Yeah, I just want, and I don't want anybody to think I'm in distress. I want people to be like, "Hey, do you want to test this flare gun out?" And I'd be like, "Yes."
Shit,
no
yeah,
one's gonna
dude.
come, right? I'm not gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, fire away.
They hear a noise and they start looking around this mine shaft, and they see all this shit hanging from the like the ceiling of the cave.
Yeah, like little bags or something. It's like, what the
It's
hell's
like
going on
fucking
here?
Blair Witch Project bullshit.
Yeah, it's creepy.
And they're like, "What?" And then, you know, one guy's got a flashlight and the other guy's got the flare, like I said. And then the lights go out, the flashlight stops working, the flare goes out or whatever, and they get eaten. I don't know what happens. Something happens.
They get attacked. We see like glimpses of something attacking them, and then then the scene ends and it cuts to like a few weeks later.
Well, it cuts to the little boy, and the little boy goes, "Dad, what are
Oh,
you
yeah.
doing in there, Dad?"
Dad.
Then he walks in there like a fucking moron, like a 7-year-old
Yeah, that's
idiot.
right. And then it cuts away.
And then it cuts away, and we're like, "Oh, well, he's fucked." We get introduced to Julia,
Yeah, it's our
Which
Carrie
is,
Russell character.
Felicity, yeah, and she's like a teacher.
She's a school teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, she's recently moved back. We'll find this out through the course of the movie, but long story short, her dad was abusive, and so the moment she could leave this fucking house, she
Yeah,
bolted.
she got out. Yep.
Her mom died when she was young, when she was like 12. We do find that out. And her dad was abusive, and I think he was sexually abusive.
Yeah, that
She
was the
has,
vibe I
like,
got. Because there were like a
images of
couple of
that.
those flashbacks of him like putting his hand on her shoulder and stuff. Yeah, it seemed creepy. and
Creepily.
gross.
Not even on her shoulder. Like he puts it like in her shirt.
Yeah.
Fucking gross.
No bueno. But he's also
So-
dead, We find that out later too. So I think that's also why she came back. Yeah,
she died recently, so he has died recently, so she's coming back to spend time with her brother. Her brother and her don't have a really good relationship because the brother's like, "You left me."
Yeah, and he was younger.
And she's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "I left because I was getting fucking abused," and he's like, "Well, this happens later," but this is Jesse Plemons, and he's all, "But you don't know what happened to me." Like,
he kind of implied that something was going on with him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guarantee it wasn't as bad.
No. And now he's the sheriff of the town. And he's taken over for the sheriff who recently retired.
Yep. And it's a small town. But she's the teacher there, and there's this 12-year-old boy named Lucas. He is the brother that they were going to pick up in that first scene.
Yeah, he's the older son of the meth guy.
Mm-hmm. And he's kind of an outcast. Stays to himself.
Yeah, he's very reserved. Kids kind of pick on him. He's just kind of the weird kid, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's also the poor kid. You know, Did you ever have that kid in your school? I remember there was this girl in my elementary school. Listen, we were all poor, and she was the poorest of them. Like, so she was really fucking poor. Like, I was poor. She was poorer than us. But I remember the other girls used to pick on her all the time.
Yeah.
And I remember really not thinking, even in third grade, I was like, that's not right. And my teacher called them all out on it one day. She was, the girl who they were picking on was sick, and my teacher called them all out on it, and they stopped. She had a conversation with the whole class. She's like, don't pick on that girl. You're all poor.
Leave her
You're
alone.
all fucking losers.
We're all poor.
We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and be nice to her, because maybe someday she'll be wealthy, and you'll be working for her. So be nice.
Or just be a good person.
Yeah, because it's the right thing to do. No, I have to have incentive.
Yeah, so I need incentive. What do I get? Do I get candy?
Yeah, what's in it for me? But Lucas is, he's, like you said, kind of an outcast. We kind of follow him along, like, after school, and we see him killing a skunk. Well, we don't see him do it, but, like, he sees a skunk and he grabs a big rock, and then the next thing we see is him carrying a dead skunk home.
Dude,
so
did I ever tell you?
Up to some weird shit.
Tell you what happened? Did I ever tell you what happened?
You kill a skunk?
Like,
with a rock?
No, I didn't kill a skunk. One morning, the bus comes and picks my daughter up out in front of our house. And so my wife and I, most mornings, will both go out there with her, drink our coffee, and wait for the bus with her. One morning, we're standing there, and my wife's got her back to our front yard, and my daughter and I are talking to her, so we're both looking at the front yard. And all of a sudden, a fucking skunk comes walking through our front yard and, like, walking towards us.
You're like, get out of here.
And my eyes got really big, and my wife goes, what's going on behind me? And I go, there's a fucking skunk. And she's all, what? And you don't want to move, right?
Yeah, you don't want to piss it off.
You don't want to get sprayed. But I think, like, she did. She slowly turned, and I, like, stepped forward, and the skunk was just like, oh, and he bolted.
Peace. That's
fucking A. It was freaky. He's an ugly little fucker.
I saw a skunk up on my mailbox once, and I was like, what the hell? What? This is Phoenix, Arizona. Why is there a skunk out here? You should be a lizard. Get the hell out of here.
You should be a lizard or a scorpion.
Yeah.
Or a tarantula.
Yeah. Anything but a skunk.
Yeah, I never saw a skunk before alive. I just smelled a skunk after it had been hit by a car.
Yeah,
so I was kind of freaked
out. Gross smell.
But yeah, he's carrying a skunk, and I was like, "Are you gonna fucking eat that?"
And then
he killing this.
And then he goes to his house, and there's like a room that's got a bunch of locks on it, and we hear some commotion behind the door, and it's like, what's he got in there? Is he gonna?
Yeah.
Is he feeding some sort of beast?
Yeah, I kind of figured it out at this point, though. I'm kind of like, okay, well, either his dad or his brother or both of them are fucked up.
Are behind that door.
Yep.
Or the monster.
Or the monster, but it's like, why would the monster be there?
Yeah, well, and like they kind of, the filmmakers or whatever, they tell us pretty early on that it's not a monster because we see like an eye through like the peephole or whatever, and it's a human eye. So we're like, oh, it's dad or the brother or both.
Well, we do see a flashback at some point. of the
yeah.
tweaker
This is
guy.
much later of the dad. Yeah.
Yeah, and he does survive the attack. And when he gets home, he tells the little boy, he's like, put these locks on this door because I'm sick with something. And no matter what I do, no matter what I say, which I did think it was cool because, like, although this guy's like a fucking meth head and he's a drug dealer and creator and everything, he does care for his boys.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
much
he wants
as he
them
can.
to be safe.
Yeah, and we do find out that Lucas, the little boy, his mom died, much like Carrie Russell's mom died. So they have that in common. But the dad was like, I want you guys to be safe. So I'm going to lock myself in here. No matter what I say or what I do, don't let me out.
I probably still would have gone to a hospital or to a doctor, but that's just me.
Well, he didn't want to get busted. He didn't want to get busted for being a tweaker.
I guess so.
David.
But, you know, yeah, the lock me behind a door technique, that could work.
That works also, right? I mean, it's
Feed me
better
road-
than killing
feed
a
me
kid,
roadkill,
right?
you know.
But then the little brother also shows signs of being sick. So Lucas says, hey, you got to go in there with Dad.
Yep.
And then they're both fucked up.
Yeah, they look all gross, and they have, like, from the corners of their eyes, almost like blood, like tears kind of shit.
Yep. Blood
Yeah,
tears.
it's gross.
Yep. So Lucas still takes care of himself, and he still finds, like you said, like roadkill and shit to feed his dad. But he's all like emaciated and dehydrated and stuff, and he's like a skinny little fucker. And he's like, oh. I don't know how. Why is he still going to school? Like oh God, truancy laws. I got to go to school still.
Yeah, maybe he has a passion for learning.
He doesn't though, because this kid's a fucking asshole in school. All he does is draw these psychopath photos.
Yeah, it makes
And
crazy little drawings of, like, death and blood and guts and shit. Which
Well,
Carrie
so
Russell
Carrie
finds,
Russell-
and she's like, oh, God, this kid's fucked up.
Exactly. And she finds all this stuff, and she knows the signs of an abused child. And he's also getting picked on by this fucking redhead kid who's like,
Oh, yeah, that bully, little fucker.
what the hell was he doing? Like fucking a sock monkey? Like he's like, oh, humping that sock monkey? Did
Yeah, I
he
thought
fuck
that was
it
weird
and
too.
come
It's
in it or something?
I think he was acting like he was. I was like, that's gross,
Yeah,
dude.
and then he gave it to the kid, and he laughs about it. Hey, I gave you a sock monkey that I humped. Who cares? You're a fucking idiot. So what does Lucas do?
So he
He
gets
takes
eaten
a
pretty
shit in
good
the sock monkey.
and puts it in the bully's backpack. Yeah. And he opens up, he's like, what's one of the other bullies like, why's your backpack smell like dog shit? And he's like,
Oh, wow, that's not dog shit.
and the kid's like, eh?
What would you rather have it be, dog shit or human shit?
Probably dog. I don't know.
The answer's neither, David. The answer's neither.
That wasn't an option. You tricked me.
Carrie Russell knows the signs of an abused child. She sees the drawings. She sees how this kid's like fucking emaciated and all that kind of shit. So she takes him down to the principal. And he gets also beat up by the bully. And so he's got to go down to the nurse. And the nurse takes his shirt off. And like I said, this kid's all skin and bones.
Yeah.
And he's got like welt
And he's
marks
got
on his
bruises and
back.
stuff too. Like, yeah, so it looks like there's some sort of abuse going on.
Yeah. So Carrie Russell tells the principal, and the principal's like, when I get a chance, I'll talk to the dad. And it's like, what? That's not how it
Yeah.
works.
Address this right away, please.
Teacher. Your wife's a teacher. My wife was a teacher. I know the law. The law is if you see something, you have to say something,
Right.
no matter what it is. It's not like, well, when we get around to it, we'll talk to the dad. The dad's the one doing the abusing. Like, you don't talk to him.
Yeah, you talk to the police.
Yeah. You talk to Jesse Plemons, okay?
Exactly. Get him on the case.
By the way, he's like the worst sheriff ever, too, because shit starts happening, and he's like, I don't know if I really want to pay attention to this. I think I just want.
Yeah, he seems a little disengaged. Or he's like, well,
Yeah.
the dad or whatever, he's had all sorts of drug issues. Like, I've arrested him several times. Nothing ever sticks. And he's just kind of like, what are you going to do? It's like, what are you going to do? You're
Yep.
the sheriff. Do
Life happens.
anything. Do something.
Speaking of the
So
sheriff,
Carrie Russell's kind of
ex-
the one playing detective.
That's true. She's a better detective than her brother is, a better police officer. But it's right around this time that the ex-sheriff, who is an indigenous man himself, is going through the forest, like hunting or whatever, and he comes across a half-eaten body. And it's the other tweaker guy, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it?
the dad's partner? Yeah, it's the other guy.
What?
Part of him.
Yeah, part of him, like this part, because he's been eaten and all that kind of shit. And the little boy Lucas sees that the ex-sheriff has discovered this body, and he's like, "Oh, I better get out of here."
Uh-oh. And they do find the other half of him in the mine shaft.
Yeah.
So between the two pieces, they got a complete human.
Yeah, and they're like, "What happened? Natural causes. Died of natural causes.
Died in his sleep. Open shut case." That's what Jesse Plemons is like. I'll sign off on that. Yeah.
The coroner's like, "I think something ate him," and he's like, "Nope."
I think he had mesothelioma. I've seen the commercials. I think it was one of that. Maybe he drank the water at Camp Lejeune.
COPD. It's one of the
COPD.
things.
Yeah.
I think he was at Camp Lejeune.
Yeah, he could have been entitled to significant compensation, but alas, he's perished. Oh well, what are you gonna do?
Poor guy. But they go on, and like I said, Carrie Russell's investigating shit. She goes over to the dad's house and she like knocks on the door and she hears some weird noises. So she's like, I'm out of this fucking place. The principal goes over there and she just lets herself in. She's like, Frank, what you doing in here, Frank?
Dude, okay. And she's like going through all the house. We see blood fucking smeared on the walls and shit. And she's like, Frank? Frank? I'd be like, get the hell out of there. Looks like there was some sort of massacre here.
You gotta leave.
Yeah.
She finds the room where Frank and Aiden are locked up, and she unlocks it and she looks, and then Frank kills her.
Yeah. She goes up. He's up in the attic.
Yeah.
Well, not only does he
eats
kill
her.
he like slashes her throat, and then I think he jumps on her like, and doesn't he like bite her face
bites her
off or
cheek?
rips her
Yeah.
face off?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he like starts transforming. And
Oh yeah,
he's
like
got,
antlers come out of his mouth.
Yeah. It's like the fucking Uninvited. It's like when that cat comes out of the other cat.
I thought that too, the cat and the cat. It was like, yeah. He's like, what's he got in his mouth?
He's got Antler Man comes out. And Lucas is walking home from school and he runs into the bully, and the bully's like talking all this sorts of shit, right? And then all of a sudden Antler Man shows up. He looks like a fucking orc. Or not an orc. He looks like, what are those tree ones called?
Oh,
The
yeah.
trees?
Yeah, from
called-
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they're called trees. No, they're called something. I don't know. Anyway,
I know what you're talking about, yeah. Ents.
the tree kind of look Ents. Ents?
Yeah. I think so.
Anyway,
Whatever.
he looks like one of those kind of. He looks like Groot, and he's like, oh, he's walking along, and he comes out and he kills that fucking bully, and Lucas just heads for Z Hills.
Yep.
Ellen is reported missing. They don't find her. Fucking Lucas like covers up for it. He like puts a tarp over her car. And when the police come to the house, they don't they're
check.
just like, well, no signs of anything. But when Carrie
they don't
Russell
look.
shows up, she looks under the tarp and she's like, oh, that's Ellen's
That's
car.
the car.
Like, she's a better cop.
And something else I didn't understand was they go to the house, but they knock on his door. Nobody answers. And they're like, well, we can't go in. Like, we'll have to get a warrant. And I was
We
like,
got to go they got to get a warrant.
I'm not a cop, so I don't know. Like, but there isn't probable cause. Isn't that a thing?
I think probable cause
Or is that just something TV has taught me?
No, probable cause is a real thing, my friend.
He's like, fuck it. We'll go in the morning.
All my time in the law enforcement field, I'm pretty sure probable cause. And
Kick the door down.
It definitely is a movie thing, and this was a movie, so they should have used that.
And he should have kicked it down. And also movies have taught me that doors kick down very easily. Usually one kick, that's all you need.
Yep. It's the truth.
Yep.
They do end up going in there, and they find Frank's body, what's left of it, because it's been split open by the fucking cat monster that
it's
came
like
out.
a shell. The cat monster. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, almost like a cocoon or something.
Yep. It's like the monster had been like hatching inside of him. And even at one point we do see like his chest is like glowing.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Like this glowing
like a glowing
whatever.
heart.
And there's like embers like floating around.
Yeah.
You know, like from a fire.
It's weird.
Which led me to this. This is the tangential thinking of Bret Anderson. When I was watching this movie, I saw these embers, and it reminded me of the poem from It. Your hair is winter fire, January embers. My heart burns there too. Do you remember that in the movie It?
No, but it's beautiful.
So Ben, the fat kid, he writes that poem for Bev, the redhead. He says, your hair is winter fire, January embers, my heart burns there too. And so I said that while I'm watching this because the embers are burning off. And I said it kind of as a throwaway joke to my wife, you know, MST3K style. Yeah. And I was like, my heart burns there too, because it was funny because it's his heart that's burning and the embers are coming off. And I thought that was kind of, you know, funny. She did not, but
she did not see the humor.
No. So then it's on a very high level. You know, I'm very, very classy with my humor.
It's a thinker. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I started thinking and I'm like, what the fuck does that poem mean? David, I'm going to put this to you. Your hair is winter fire, January embers. My heart burns there too. What does that fucking poem mean?
Well, she's a redhead, so.
Okay. The best I could come up with is that he wants to fuck her and she's got a fire crotch. That's
Yep. Just yeah. Very
Which I don't understand.
Put.
I don't understand that saying like fire crotch. You remember, like people used to say that as an insult. I understand it, but I don't understand why it's an insult. Because like, I mean, I was like, yeah, I got a fire crotch. I mean, unless you got gonorrhea, then you got a real fire crotch, right? But like, I mean, if you're like, your pussy's hot, it's like, hey, I got a hot pussy. Everybody wants this. Anyway, if you understand what that poem means, if you can do a breakdown of that, I would love to hear from you. You can write us at swearwolvespodcast@gmail.com or some shit like that. Contact us at Gmail. I don't know. Contact us at
swearwolves.com. Yeah, that's the one.
There you go. You're the one who does all that shit. Anyway, I need to know what that poem means. I've looked it up online, and it's just basically saying that, yeah, she has red hair and he's hot.
And he wants to bang her. Yeah,
and she's got a fire crotch. I think that's what I read.
That's what it is. It's about pubic hair, I think.
It's about pubes. Oh fuck. Anyway, so yeah. January embers, he's fucking rolling around now, and the little kid's missing. The bully. And Felicity takes the other boy to the hospital. He goes to
the hospital. That's right. Yeah.
And the doctor comes out and he's like, this kid is about ready to die, but he has no family.
He's severely malnourished.
Do you guys want to be his parents? And she's like, yes, we do want to be his parents. And Jesse Plemons
is like, what?
We're brother and sister. We can't do that. But they take him in, I guess.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, whatever. And they get home later that night, and Jesse Plemons is like, all right, tells Slater from Dazed and Confused, he's like, watch my sister, because he's like the deputy. He's like, you watch my sister in my house. I got to go talk to the mayor.
Yeah. Oh, and something else too is Carrie Russell, what is her name? Julia?
Yeah.
She tells Felicity. The kid, like, hey, do you know like what happened to your dad? Because they found his body, like the shell of him in the house. So she's like, your dad's dead. And he's like, no, he's not dead. Because he knows like the dad's transformed or whatever. And she's like, no, he's dead. And I thought this was really sad. He's like, I just have to feed him and he'll love me. Like the kid just wants like his father's love. It was very sad.
Yeah, it is sad. But he also does mention the thing like you mentioned. It was like a cocoon, this husk, this shell that the dad was like incubating in, and like then he just burst out of this cocoon, and now he's this monster antler fucking ent looking thing. And the kid's like, yeah, he's just evolved basically. He says something,
and he's like, he'll come for me and he'll take me to be with my brother in the mine shaft. And she's like, I'm gonna take this kid back. This kid's fucking weird.
Yeah, can I get a refund?
Yeah.
But it's right about that time that Rory Cochran's character, the deputy, he hears a noise out in the barn, and he goes out there, and that's where the little boy is, the younger brother.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey there, little guy. What's going on? And then he gets stabbed with the antlers from behind.
He gets gored. Yeah. That was pretty awesome.
He was on the walkie-talkie to Jesse Plemons, who's like, I gotta get the fuck home. And so he comes out of the mayor's office. And Felicity starts hearing noises, and her and the boy are like going around. The boy's like, I gotta go see my brother.
Yeah, he takes off.
sheriff comes home and he's looking out in the shed or whatever. He gets stabbed also by
he
these
finds the kid.
antlers.
It's almost an identical scene. Like he finds the kid and he's like, "Oh, are you okay?" And then his stab is pretty cool though because the horns come like right through the wall of the shed.
The shed.
That was kind of cool. But yeah, he gets all fucked up.
Yeah, the little brother, he's kind of got a glowing chest going on.
Yeah, he don't look so good.
Too. No, he's gonna transform at some point. They end up down in the mine shaft.
Yeah, because he's not dead. So Julia gets him, and she's like, "Hey, we got to get you to a hospital, but we got to. I have to go to the mine shaft, but I'm taking you with
that's
me."
where the little boy is.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool. Like while she's driving, I think she radios in like, "I need an ambulance to like meet me at the mine shaft so that he can go to the fucking hospital."
Yeah. So she goes to the mine shaft, and that's where Lucas is, and his little brother's there, and then the monster comes out.
Dude, the monster is like wearing the dad's face, like on its face,
kind of like in.
Remember, like House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, House of a Thousand Corpses, the sequel.
Devil's Rejects.
Devil's Rejects, when they put the face on the one girl and she goes out running into traffic.
Yeah,
that's what it kind of
gets hit by a car.
Oh, yeah. Comedy. And goes down to the mine, and the dad's wearing the face, or the monster's wearing the dad's face, and then
he's eating a bear.
He's eating a bear.
Yeah. A little snack.
They fight, and we did find out, or we kind of skipped over this, and I said it at the beginning of the episode, but the Wendigo. It's the story of the Wendigo, right?
Right.
Which is the Native American indigenous persons. Their culture has this story of this basically shapeshifter. Mm-hmm. And it's basically what we said, right? It's the spirit of
and the former sheriff, there's a scene where he tells them about it and how to defeat it.
Yep. So this Wendigo antler creature and Julia, they fight, and she ends up killing it. But
and with the help of the boy.
Yeah,
the boy at one point like jumps up and stabs it, so he knows he's got to kill his dad.
Puts a Ric Flair flare in the Wendigo's ass.
Woo! Sucks it up there. Woo!
The spirit goes into the other little boy, Aiden, the 7-year-old, and
because they say that the Wendigo, its spirit can be transferred. So then it moves into the younger kid.
So Felicity's like, "Look, we got to kill your little brother," and she's
this
like,
was
"I'll
fucked
do
up."
it.
Yeah, and at first she's like, "No," and she's like, "You know what's gonna happen to him? Like, we can't allow it."
And she says to the little boy, she goes, "You can't. Do you have what's in you?" She says something like, "Do you have it in you to kill someone you love?"
Yeah,
and the little boy's like, "I guess you're right," And so she kills the younger brother.
Yeah, she's like, "Look away. I'll take care of this."
And then it flashes forwards to like, I don't know, I guess a few weeks later, a couple weeks later,
some time has passed.
A day later, I don't know. Not a lot of time.
It's not far because like they still have like bruises and shit on their face.
Yeah.
So it's probably a matter of weeks or days.
Hours.
Yeah, it's just 5 minutes later.
They're on the beach. And Lucas is out there hunting for skunks, and he's like, I actually really like them.
Delicious.
And Felicity and Jesse Plemons are fucking talking to each other, and they're like, "Will things ever be the same? I guess so. Whatever." Blah 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 blah. And they're like, "Come on, Lucas, we're gonna go get an ice cream or whatever." And they head for the car, and Jesse Plemons stays back, and he starts coughing. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just not feeling well." And then he gets like that fucking goop coming out of his eyes.
Yep. That's it. As soon as he started coughing, were you like, "Ah, shit."
I was like, yeah, of course I was. I was like, I was like, "Oh shit," but I was happy. You want to know why?
Yeah,
because the movie
was over.
Oh, David, this movie was slow.
It was very slow.
It was boring. It took forever. It had a lot of potential because there was the story of the Wendigo and the story of this fucking antler like creature coming around and killing people and
you got good actors. You got Jesse
great
Plemons.
Actors. Yeah,
you got a great producer.
a stout director. Has directed a lot of stuff. It's just the script was boring,
dude.
Okay, I was so bored. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We're on a little bit of a delay here. So.
We're on this. My biggest problem with it, getting back to the script, this movie was humorless.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I need humor in every movie, but there was no levity. Like, sometimes you need that just to get a breath of air, and
at least
there was
one character.
None.
At least one character to provide some, like, I don't know, comic relief.
Some sort of relief.
But beyond that, like, if we're going to go character development, there was very little character development. I really didn't care about Felicity. I didn't care about her brother. I didn't care about the kid, the little boy, the malnourished little fucker. I didn't care about any of them. I cared about wanting to see death and destruction, and I barely got any of that because everything fucking happened off screen for the most part.
Yeah, or in the dark. Yeah.
Yeah. Until the end when the fucking antler monster is wearing the dad's face, and I was like, wow, that looks fucking cool. And the antler monster looked really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. I wish we had seen more of it.
Yeah. I want to see death. I want to see carnage. I'm watching a horror movie. I also want to be scared at some point. Yeah. I want there to be like some tense moments where, like, because even when the principal finds the dad and she gets killed, it's like there's not really that tense moment. It's like she just walks in and she's like, huh? What's going on? And then, like, he comes out and he stabs her. I knew that was going to happen.
And it was before he had transformed too, so it's not like it's not even a monster kill. He just kind of gallops on all fours and runs up and kills her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked more of, like, the scene with Jesse Plemons where the antlers burst through the wall and stuff. Like, that was cool. I wish we'd gotten more of that. Yeah, and when this movie came out, I mentioned earlier, like, I really wanted to see it. And when I heard who was involved, I was like, oh, this sounds awesome. But the movie was completely different than what I had expected. And now I get why I haven't heard a whole lot about this movie, because it's just kind of meh.
Meh, to say the least. I'm giving it 1 Pamela Voorhees head. Okay. And that's primarily because I thought the concept of the story was cool, and I thought the monster looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
The rest of it is shit.
Yeah, I'm not too far off from you. So I'm a 2 on this one, because there were things that I liked. I liked the monster. I thought the acting was fine. I just found it to be kind of uninteresting.
Dull.
We've talked about other movies that are like this, that has the problem where it's not good enough to be a good movie, and it's not bad enough to be a fun movie to watch. It just kind of exists in this weird spot where it's just like, this movie's just okay.
Yeah, this movie is like, it's like a movie that you don't need to watch ever, because there's no enjoyment you're going to get out of it. You're not going to be like, oh my God, that was fucking awesome. And you're not going to be like, holy shit, you got to see this movie because of how awful it is. You're going to
when it's over, you just go, okay, yeah, that's a movie.
Like, that was a movie. That was a waste of 90, how many minutes?
99 minutes.
99 minutes. It's also
a scary one.
Long.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was Antlers. 'Tis the season, I guess, right? To be disappointed.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
I don't know. Maybe you have different thoughts on Antlers. Maybe you have a very well-rounded understanding of the poem that Ben Haskam gave to Beverly Marsh in It.
Maybe.
Real quick.
Also, did you think that this movie was going to be about a killer reindeer? Because I did. I thought it was going to be like a deer. Which also would have been
Prancer
awesome.
On acid.
Or like a killer Rudolph with a burning red nose.
Has there ever been a killer reindeer movie? I don't think there has. There should be. There should be like, okay,
and
so
Ric Flair
Dash
should be in
Dancer. Pardon?
Yeah. Ric Flair should be in it.
Woo! This is how it should open up. All right. This is okay. Before we get to you telling them how to contact us, okay? This is your killer reindeer movie. All right. It opens up with this guy telling a story, kind of like The Fog opens up, right? Where there's like a fire and they're all sitting around, and he's like, I remember
telling the
fog.
story.
It opens up with, Dasher and Dancer, Prancer and Vixen.
Vixen, yeah.
Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. You know even Rudolph, right? So he changes it up.
But do you recall?
But he changes it up there because you're like, oh, he's going to tell the story of Rudolph. He's like, no, but you know Rudolph also. You know all 9 of those motherfuckers. But did you know there was a 10th one? And this one
Randolph?
went fucking batshit crazy. He killed a bunch
crazy
of fuckers on
motherfucker.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, he killed all the naughty children.
Yeah, he gored them with his
Yep.
fucking antlers.
With his fucking horns.
Yeah. You remember that movie
pissed
Antlers?
on him,
And they're
too.
like, no. And he's like, look, you didn't miss anything. That movie got 1.5 Pamela Voorhees Heads from the Swearwolves. But this
Yeah,
movie
no one gives
that
a
I'm
shit.
about ready to tell you about Randolph, the fucking psychotic reindeer,
Yeah, this is the fucking fiver.
5 heads.
Dude, that would be pretty cool to like do it off like the fucking what was it, Rankin and Bass?
Yes.
But have like all those characters, like Yukon Cornelius is like one of the
Yeah.
heroes.
He's all nothing.
Nothing. Gold and silver, silver and gold. Have a fucking
Silver
Bumble
and
in there.
gold. Burl Ives' fucking corpse comes out and starts singing,
He's the snowman.
but he's like a zombie snowman.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and what else? You know, Rudolph had that girlfriend.
No, Clarice.
I'm cute. I'm cute. I'm cute. Yeah. Fucking Randolph, he kills her.
Fucking Hermes
Fucking
got to help him out.
Yep. Hermes
To
is
avenge his girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, and the fucking what's the big fucking monster? Bumblebutt? Bumble?
Bumble.
The
Yeah.
Bumble? I don't think it was called Bumblebutt, but the fucking
Just the Bumble, the abominable snow monster.
Yeah. The fucking Bumble doesn't have any teeth left, so he can't help out because Hermes fucking pulled out all those teeth. But then Hermes, the climax is Hermes and the Bumble come out, and the Bumble smiles, and he's got these big old metal fucking fangs because
That
Yukon
Hermie,
Cornelius
fashioned?
found a bunch of. Yeah, Yukon Cornelius found a bunch of silver, and Hermes fucking fashioned that shit into
They
fucking
made some
fangs. Yep.
There you go.
And
It's
the
go
fucking
time.
Bumble starts ripping apart Randolph. The end.
End of movie. 5
Get
Pamela
on it,
Voorhees
Rankin.
Heads.
Get on it, Bass.
Yeah, you bastards.
I think those guys are dead.
One of them
One of
just
them's
died.
dead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of
one
at
of them
least
just
one of
died.
them, because one of them just died recently.
Well, they're kids. Need to do something. They have kids. They have nephews. They have cousins. Somebody. They have us. We came up with
Exactly.
the fucking story. What else do they
We'll
want
carry
from
the
us?
torch. Yeah, and I want to do it in stop motion.
Yep. Old school stop motion. None of this 24 frames per second. I want like
Yeah, I
8
want it to look
frames per
shitty.
second.
Yeah, want it to be real choppy. Like when I used to make my VHS movies as a kid, my stop
Yes.
motion shit.
If you would rather see Randolph the Psychotic Reindeer stop motion from Bret and David Productions than anything else in the world, you need to contact us. How can they contact us, David?
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, the Slasher app, TikTok, Hive. Now we've joined that one.
Yeah, Hive.
Yeah,
the new
I haven't
hip
posted
thing.
anything. Hopefully by the time this comes
Yeah.
out, I will have done something with it. But yeah, we're on that now too. Just search the Swearwolves on those platforms. On Instagram, search the Swearwolves podcast. We have the Swearwolves YouTube channel. You can go to our website, theswearwolves.com. You can email us at contact@theswearwolves.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 623-282-1851.
So for the Swearwolves this week, I'm Bret,
I'm David.
and my dick burns there too.
Woo!
My dick burns, dude. I got a lot of problems
Yeah,
if my dick burns.
it
means
burns
I
when
got,
I
like-
dick.
Burns when it only burns when I pee.
Yeah, and ejaculate. And
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I can
it's just-
live with a little burning feeling. You know, as guys, like if you had the opportunity to, like before you were married, like even now when you're married, it's like if it's uncomfortable at all, but you still have the possibility of getting laid, you just
oh
put
yeah,
up
you're still
with
gonna
it.
do it. Yeah, you just deal
You
with
know
it.
how like when you wake up in the morning, you really got to pee.
But you're so cozy
And
in your
it's like-
bed, you're like, I'll wait.
Yeah, but it's like really uncomfortable, right? But you got this massive hard on because you got to pee, and that's what happens to guys. And then your significant other wants to fool around, but you're like, oh God, this is not going to feel good. But you're like, I don't know if this opportunity is going to come later.
Yeah, I'll pee later. I'll chance it.
It's really not going to feel good the entire time, but having sex is way better than me being uncomfortable.
Yeah, it beats the alternative of not
Not having sex. That's the plight of being a guy.